Hey there, Sheila Daly here, registered holistic nutritionist and certified intuitive eating counselor. It is just me here today. Katie will be back next video, but for today it is just me. I'm starting a new series of videos that are going to be a little more casual and more one-on-one. In this new video series, I'm going to be answering questions and chatting about intuitive eating, giving up dieting, finding healthy changes that work for you, and body image and body positivity. Today we'll be starting with a topic that I think is really important, especially because I think it's one that's difficult for a lot of us to talk about, and that is binge eating. If you are somebody that deals with binge eating, you might feel a lot of shame and embarrassment about it, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll understand why you might be binge eating and why there is absolutely no reason that you should feel any shame about it. So first off, let's define binge eating. Binge eating is defined as an episode where you consume a large amount of food, often in a small amount of time, and to the point of discomfort. There's also frequently a sense of loss of control, as well as feelings of distress, shame, and guilt afterwards. So, why are you binge eating? I feel there are 3 common reasons that can bring on a binge. The first is that you aren't eating enough food. Now, what enough means can vary from person to person. So it could be that your meals are just too small. It could be that you go long stretches of the day without eating, and then you have this kind of hunger state later in the day. Whatever the reason, the bottom line is that you're hungry and you're not giving your body the food it needs. Your stomach might be grumbling, or you might be feeling weak or tired. And whether it's that you're simply too busy or stressed to think about eating, or it's because of all the dieting messages all around us that have you feeling like you need to eat less food, whatever the reason is, your body's giving these cues that you need to eat and you're not giving it food. When your body's telling you you're hungry and you don't listen, you are setting yourself up for a binge. Whether it's that night, the next day, the next week, the next month, at some point, your body's gonna have had enough. It's gonna zone you out, it's gonna make you feel out of control, and it's gonna make you eat all the food. But of course it is. Its entire purpose is to keep you alive, and you need food to stay alive. So when it thinks that you're starving, the first opportunity it gets, it's going to eat as much as it possibly can. It's not a lack of willpower, it's a biological response to starvation. So, what's the solution? You have to eat enough food. You have to eat when your body's telling you it's hungry, whether it's that your stomach's grumbling or it's been a while since your last meal and you can kind of tell you're starting to fade. Whatever your hunger cues are, you have to eat, and you have to eat enough that your body is satisfied and it's ready to go about its day. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2, you have diet brain. So you might be eating enough food, but you're still binge eating. What gives? Well, there are a lot of messages around us about what we should and shouldn't eat. You might have been taught to believe that carbs are bad, or fats are bad, or sugar is bad. And all of this kind of sits in your brain, and it creates these rules about what you should and shouldn't eat. And on top of foods that you should and shouldn't eat, there are all these rules about when you should eat and how much you should eat and how many meals, and not after a certain time and not before a certain time. And you get so confused by all of these messages, so that when you are finally eating, your brain is still on a diet. It's still saying you shouldn't be eating this, you're being bad for eating this, you're eating too much, you're eating more than your healthy friend, you're eating this food that isn't as good as this other cleaner food, and you feel really guilty and you feel all this shame. So while you're eating this food, your brain is still on a diet, and it's still telling you, okay, fine, you can eat this now, but we're gonna eat less later, or we're gonna eat better tomorrow, we're gonna eat cleaner tomorrow. So this scarcity mindset, this starvation mindset that happens when you aren't eating enough food, it can still be going on because your brain doesn't know that you're going to keep giving it food consistently. It thinks, okay, well, tomorrow we're going to eat less, so we better eat a lot today. So what happens when you see that food again? Your body thinks, oh, well, that's a food I'm never going to get ever again. I better eat as much as I possibly can right now. And so the binge happens again. And I mean, this is a truth we see in all areas of our life. What happens when you tell yourself you can't have something? You want that thing. So, what's the solution? You have to give yourself permission to eat all foods. When you do that, your body knows that it doesn't have to scarf down every single French fry because there will always be more French fries when you truly want them. So, just to recap, reason number 1 is that you're not eating enough food. Reason number 2 is that you have diet brain. Reason number 3 for why you are binge eating is that food has been an emotional support. Life can be hard. Work can be stressful. People can let us down. We can feel sad and overwhelmed and stressed and bored and alone. And what will always be there for us in those times? Food. Here's the thing. There is no reason to get down on yourself for turning to food in these challenging moments. Food might have been the only support during some really hard times, and it helped get you through those times, and that's okay. But now that you have this awareness that food is something you've been turning to for comfort and support, you can start to look for other coping mechanisms that might be better at helping you. Because the thing is, even though it's totally normal, our brain has wired this path telling us, I'm sad, I'll eat food, I'll feel better. And it tells us that's what will happen. But rationally, we know better. We know that at the end of that binge, we don't feel better. Our stomach hurts, our brain hurts, we're sad, we're emotional again. It made us feel better for a little bit of time, but then it made us feel really not good at the end of it. It doesn't mean that, oh, I know that that's why I binge, so I just need to, go for a walk and suddenly I won't binge anymore. It's not going to be that easy, but awareness is the first step. That's the place that you start, and from there, you can start to experiment with different coping mechanisms, and eventually you'll start to find some ways that will bring you that relief without having to turn to food. Now, those are the 3 most common reasons I feel lead to binge eating. Maybe you see that one of them is the one that applies most to you. Maybe they all apply to you. The important thing to acknowledge is that if binge eating has been in your life for a while, for whatever reason, it's gonna take some time to let go. I'll tell you my truth. I used to binge all the time. Sometimes it would be weekly, sometimes it would be monthly, and sometimes it would be daily. Now, I honestly can't remember the last time I binged. And that is really surreal for me because in those moments, I never thought binge eating was something I'd be able to stop doing. And I really can't remember the last time I did right now. So, how did I get from there to here? Well, I started eating enough food. I gave myself permission to eat all foods. And I found other ways to cope with my emotions other than eating. You can definitely do this work on your own. The book Intuitive Eating by Elise Resch and Revelyn Tripoli is really wonderful. It's a great place to start. It's where I started. You might also find it helpful to work with a professional like myself on it. So if you want to talk a little bit more about binge eating or about your relationship with food, I offer a free 20-minute phone consultation. You can check out the link below, shoot me a message. I'd love to help you out. So if you like this video, give it a little thumbs up. It really supports my channel, and I'll see you next video. Bye.